Hello, my name is Steve Heisler, and I'm a Zoho employee here at ZohoDay2025. This is Zoho Influence, and I'm here with Cameron Marsh of Nucleus Research.
Thanks for
Cameron,
having
thank
me.
you so much for being on.
Of course, happy to be here.
We're here at ZohoDay. Sridhar Vembu, who's our chief scientist, gave a talk yesterday. He talked about the after DeepSeek era that we're living in. I was wondering your thoughts on that.
So, Sridhar's probably the most pragmatic CEO I've ever seen talk. I guess former CEO, I guess now in this case. But he's brilliant on the tech side, but he also talks more big picture, which I think gets lost in translation a lot right now, where he's talking more about, or not just about AI, but what's like the business impact of that. And I'm very biased because the work that I do is bottom line focused research. And it seems like he has a very firm grasp on that, and that's what customers care about too. So I guess, the line between features, functionalities, and then the so what question of what does this mean for your customers, he has a much firmer grasp of that, and I think some others do, so it's just refreshing to see.
Oh, I'm sure, after
Yeah.
all these conferences and hearing people talk.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that's been surprising to you in these last days? Just anything that you were like, oh, I had no idea?
I think anyone who saw it that can say they saw DeepSeek coming is a liar, because like no one saw that coming. I mean, usage costs were really a big inhibitor for a lot of folks exploring AI, and then they just kind of completely turned that narrative on its head. I don't know how sustainable their business model is because the energy has to come from somewhere. It's not free. So we'll see. But I mean, in an effort to democratize AI and bring it to more hands, that could be an avenue to do that.
Yeah, well, maybe this transitions well into the trending topic, so to speak, that you've heard from these other analysts in these last couple of days. Because this is an opportunity for a bunch of analysts to get together and like see what other people are talking about.
For sure.
So what have you been hearing?
Number one thing I'm hearing is trying to identify what aspects of AI or what use cases matter to customers. I think the days of spreading investment super thin to see what pays off is gone in tech. People are having a much more focused effort to prioritize tech spending in a way that's going to have the best bottom line result, right? And I think with a lot of AI use cases, a lot of vendors will provide everything to customers and then sort of incentivize people to use everything, but the reality is that's not going to be beneficial for the customer in the long run. Zoho's been talking for a while now about taking a more targeted approach to that, about not providing anything and everything, and instead focus on here are the use cases that our biggest of customers are actually using, and then bringing that to everybody else. It's exactly like Sridhar mentioned yesterday about your enterprise strategy is figure out and identify the customers you have, right, that are in the enterprise market, and grow alongside them, and then translate the features you see there down market. And I think that is going to be hugely beneficial because I think at the end of the day, tech is cool, but shiny objects only get you so far, and people care about what have you done for me lately? What does this tech actually do? How does this actually solve my pain points? And that sounds very not optimistic, but it's an opportunity for vendors to focus on, here are the actual pain points of our customers, and how do we strategically solve that?
Yeah.
And it seems like that's exactly what your roadmap looks like. So it's cool to see.
I mean, when there's so much going on and there's so many options, it's like that's the opportunity for the wheat from the chaff to be separated.
100%.
Actually, like focus on the right things.
Exactly.
It's 2025 now, and a lot has changed in the last month in myriad ways. Yeah. And so I'm wondering if you have any predictions that you had thought were going to play out that now you have to entirely scrap or redo.
So around this time last year, I thought that just generative AI was going to be super popular. I was wrong.
Yeah.
That changed very quickly.
Probably, yeah.
And I think a lot of people are saying the same thing about agentic AI right now. And it's easy, I think, to hop on the bandwagon, but adoption has been slow. Slower than I thought it would be, even. And I think there's a ton of different reasons for that, if it's data security or trust or even just use cases. I mean, I cover CRM, right? That is the bread and butter of what I do, and I very seldom talk to a salesperson who cares about AI at all, if I'm being very honest with you. Because a lot of use cases just don't apply to them. Like it's cool to be able to summarize your emails, but sales emails are usually 2 lines long, and they were in those threads, so they don't need that. But like for sales or for marketing and service, yeah, sure. But I think taking a more pragmatic approach to what features can we use that actually drive bottom line results? That's my prediction this year is people are going to kind of step back a little bit and more prioritize their tech spending. So
yeah.
We'll see.
Well, Cameron, let's go deep for our last
Okay, let's do
question.
it.
What's your hot take in the industry? What's the thing that is nagging at you that you wish other people understood or people think they haven't thought of it that way?
I think that similar to what we saw a couple years ago after companies hired, maybe overhired during COVID, and then maybe have, I don't want to say trim the fat a little bit, but kind of pull the reins back in a little bit. I think the same thing's going to happen in the tech stack. I think we're going to see a mass wave of people waking up one day and realize, I'm paying a lot of money for tech that maybe doesn't actually help me the way that it should. And again, that sounds so simplistic, but I was actually chatting with a guy earlier today where he was essentially faced with the decision of, do I fire people or do I cut back on tech? This was like 6 months ago, and he's now a Zoho customer. But I think you'll see a lot more of that because there's a lot of spending wastage on tech that doesn't need to happen anymore. So that's my hot take. We'll see if it pans out.
It's a steering hot take.
Yeah.
Cameron, thank you so much for joining us today. I've been Steve Heisler with Zoho Influence, and have a wonderful day.